My midterm remains still bearish. And obviously, if you ask me where Bitcoin is in 5 years, I think it's much, much, much higher. So where is your next Bitcoin resistance? Let's take a look right here. Okay, so if we look at Bitcoin, one of the things that I'm seeing is there's a lot of resistance at a former level right up here. So you're looking at anywhere between, I would say, 28.8 and 29,000. Now, do I think that all of a sudden Bitcoin's in a new bull market and going to be moving up beautifully? No, I don't necessarily think that.
In his game plan, seasoned trader Gareth Soloway, with 2 decades of experience, offers a comprehensive chart analysis. He maintains a bearish outlook for the midterm. However, when it comes to Bitcoin's long-term potential, he holds a strong belief in substantial growth over the next 5 years. Bitcoin and the crypto market kicked off October with a bullish start, driven by a wave of liquidations and a short squeeze. The largest cryptocurrencies sustained the bullish outlook from Friday, ignoring the U.S. Securities and Exchange's decision to delay its verdict on several spot Bitcoin ETFs. During the past day or so, Bitcoin has rapidly increased as its price has gone from the $27,000 mark to above the $28,000 level. This is the first time in about a month and a half that the cryptocurrency has breached this level. Yesterday, Bitcoin had managed to go as high as $28,500. The coin has since seen a pullback, but it has managed to stay above $28,000. The recent price drop comes as the jump in the bond yields has dented demands for riskier investments. Bitcoin was trading within a range from $24,800 to $31,800, and the mid-range resistance was $28,400. It sat close to the $28,500 level, a long-term resistance. According to Soloway's analysis, Bitcoin is currently facing a notable resistance zone between $28,800 and $29,000. If Bitcoin successfully surpasses this resistance and consolidates in a bullish manner, it could potentially create an upward-sloping trend line, pushing the price range to approximately $30,000 to $31,000. Let's direct our attention towards the video.
Bitcoin finally getting a move here. What I think is amazing is that if you watched last week's game plan, on Thursday, I told you guys that your bias in the short term on Bitcoin became bullish. And again, I mean, the little tidbits that I'm dropping in these game plans can literally make you guys money. Now let's talk about it. So basically what we had here, we have this trend line, right? So we have this trend line sloping up. We had this orange one sloping down. Now, one of the things that I was pointing to, and I'm going to zoom in on this because it's super, super important, is that if we take a look here, we know we had this trend line here, this trend line get hit here, here, and then also multiple times here and once here, and then we broke out. This was last Thursday, right? Thursday we broke out. That changed the bias. From that point, it now became a bullish short-term indicator. Now remember, short-term tells you nothing about midterm or long-term. It's only telling you about what's going to happen the next few days to week or so. But sure enough, we closed here. We consolidated on Friday and Saturday. Sunday, we ripped higher. Monday, we're continuing up. Now again, couple levels to watch on Bitcoin because again, to me, Bitcoin's going up here. I have positions with verified investing crypto members in altcoins like Cardano, which is showing us a breakout as well, and other altcoins. But the key here again is at some point, resistance is going to get this in check. Now, there's a couple levels I want you guys following on Bitcoin. So where is your next Bitcoin resistance? Let's take a look right here. Okay, so if we look at Bitcoin, one of the things that I'm seeing is there's a lot of resistance at a former level right up here. So you're looking at anywhere between, I would say, 28.8 and 29,000. Now again, look at how price hammered on this level over and over again before breaking down. What that tells us is whether or not this was at some point support. You know, why it was, we don't necessarily know, but this type of action created support. What that means is if price rallies up into this, this is going to be now resistance to the opposing side. So that is going to be resistance anywhere again, 28,800 to 29,000. Now, should Bitcoin break above this level, let's say it puts in bullish consolidation and breaks up, you have a very clear upsloping channel or trend line that takes you back to between $30,000 and $31,000. So those are your upside levels. Now, do I think that all of a sudden Bitcoin's in a new bull market and going to be moving up beautifully? No, I don't necessarily think that. What I do think overall, if we zoom out on the chart, is that this is a common move where we see a move from this low to this low to this low. We then broke through it. Now you're retracing to the scene of the crime, back to test home base. That's a very common thing in technical analysis. All right, now again, what you're going to come into is that same resistance up here if we test it, and then ultimately if we confirmed above it, then you'd have a breakout. But one thing I always tell my traders, never assume a breakout is going to come until it shows itself, right? So many people assume, they get on the wrong side of the trade and they get whipped out. Don't get whipped out. Okay, so that's what we're looking at there, guys. Again, I would just say this is my short-term bias remains neutral to positive, although the upside has now come in quite a bit. My midterm remains still bearish, and obviously, if you ask me where Bitcoin is in 5 years, I think it's much, much, much higher.
Gold markets have broken down rather significantly at the end of the month of September as we continue to see a lot of negativity. At this point, it looks like gold has further to go, perhaps dropping down to the $1,800 level. Gold price prolongs its recent well-established downtrend for the 7th successive day and drops to the $1,820 area. Hawkish Fed expectations, elevated U.S. bond yields, and bullish dollar continue to weigh on the metal. According to Soloway's analysis, the short-term outlook for gold is bearish, with a recent $100 drop in just 1 week. Soloway also calculates a potential breakout target for the inverse head and shoulders pattern, indicating a range between $2,500 and $2,600. Let's direct our attention towards the video.
Gold has been nuts. It's even surprised me. All right, so gold is down again today. It has fallen off the proverbial cliff. Now, I will say this. So, number one, you have to look at your overall time frames. Now, short term, there's no doubt about it that this move down is bearish on gold, right? I mean, not that it's bearish, but just that price has collapsed. Price has fallen basically $100 in essentially 1 week's time. Now, again, short term, we broke this support line. So where are we likely headed? Let's take a look at the chart. What does the chart tell us? The first thing I want to show you is there's a parallel coming into play. See this white trend line up here? I'm going to put a parallel on top of that, and we're going to use the parallel tool here to guide us to this level. All right, so let's do that right now. We put our parallel right on top. We drop it down, and what we could see is the parallel goes right through these lows, and that looks like it's going to be support. Now, to find a good, you want congruence. You want multiple levels going through each other. And that's, again, going to give you more support. So what we then do is we look for a pivot point. And what we can do here is if we take this pivot point and we just drag a trend line across, look at that. So now we have this pivot low, which intersects this area right here around $1,810, $1,815. That, to me, will be significant support. Now, that's your short term, right? And you have to be able to divide your short-term investment view between your midterm and your long-term. So what's the midterm? Well, the midterm, to find your midterm, what you do is you zoom out on the chart. And to do that, we clearly see that we still have this upper range of consolidation going on. So we look at the bigger move. The bigger move was this. And then essentially we're doing this consolidation, right? Bullish, a bull flag of consolidation. This still, even with this little tiny move down, which when you zoom out is almost impossible to see, this still tells you that you're still well within the ranges of the midterm view that gold is still on the bullish side. The other thing to keep in mind that I've been fascinated about, but I would just say this, is if we zoom in just to this area here, I have to wonder if what we're creating, is it an inverse head and shoulders, which is bullish, okay? Now, what I mean by that is you could make a case you have this to this to this, which we're now forming that right shoulder, And if we eventually curl up over here, we have a beautiful inverse head and shoulders for a breakout above this triple top, which again is your neckline. So again, depending on how this forms, for this to form, we're already pulling back for the shoulder, right? Here on this shoulder, we went down to here, right? So you could still go even down to this area maybe, but ultimately, do we curl over and eventually have a major breakout? What's cool about this is we can calculate our target. We draw this to the neckline, right? Lowest point to the neckline, and again, that's about $1,600 to $2,100, we'll call it. So it's a $500, a little less than $500. Breakout from here takes you to a target of between $2,500 and $2,600 to complete the inverse head and shoulders. Very, very cool on that chart.
As per CoinGlass data over the past decade, Bitcoin's price has surged in October every year except for the bear markets of 2014 and 2018. Even though Bitcoin has a bullish market structure on the daily chart, it could be hard for the bulls to drive prices higher. Instead, it makes more sense for the market to drop and hunt the enthusiastic and possibly late bulls. What are your thoughts on the short-term outlook for Bitcoin? Do you anticipate it going bullish or bearish? Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments section below. If you found this information valuable, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to our channel to stay informed with the latest news and videos. Thanks for joining us.